Okay, so this is the first question. Take your time. You can go to your notes. You can ask why this question is being like. We have to discuss it. It's just not answer it. So you can take advantage that I'm here and we can discuss about all these questions. So it gives you a better idea why I'm asking those questions in the exam, and you will know better how the final would look like. Um, we have only 1 hour, so we have 10 questions, 11 questions, so around 3 minutes max. Eight people out of 15. This is 50%. 10. Beautiful. Okay, so and the correct answer, pyruvate reduction generates NAD plus, which is essential for the dehydrogenase phosphate reaction. So if you go through the material, there's only 2 slides that describe the usage of the pyruvate in conditions where the oxygen is not there. So focus on that, because obviously you could see, like in the quiz, in the practice, we already went through these questions, so there will be for sure a question about that. And maybe I will also open the oxidative stress slide. Put this one here, go that. Okay. So can you see my screen? Share screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this is one of the slides where you have a part of the question. And again, I mentioned to you many times that whenever I bold one particular thing in a slide, and obviously I have discussed it during the class, you can imagine there will be a question about that. So for example, yesterday when I was putting these together, I was hesitant to give you one question about the acetyl coenzyme A. But then it went to me more appealing that to ask you a question about the pyruvate usage in the absence of oxygen. In the previous class, I asked you a question about this, how do pyruvates get into the mitochondria? Well, all those are valid questions, and you don't be surprised that I asked the same question again. during the exam, exactly as we did in the midterm. One more thing, the discussion panel in Brightspace is still open. So I'm not going to go out now, but if you go to discussions, you can write down questions that you would like to be examined. I welcome if you help writing out a question that you think it's uh, to be taken into consideration in the exam. I will look into these by Friday, and I will pick some of your questions and use them in my exam. Okay, so let's go now to this second. Just before doing that, so you could clearly see these two bolded information here where in the question we discussed before. So again, every time I give you hints by making those more appealing in the slide. Of course, I discussed them as well during the class. Next, this guy. Okay, so this is a newer version of types of question that you might get. It's not super like from the first look, it might look very complicated. But if you read the question and analyze it, it's going to be simple to answer. So here you have a structure of NADH and NAD plus. Okay, and the answer is, oops. So we tricked you with the question, but it was not, as I said, it's not very complicated. I didn't even change the order that you have seen in the slides. Just trying to find, okay, here. I didn't even change the order that you've seen in the slides. But think about it. This is NAD plus, and this is NADH, right? And I pointed out for you in the circle here what's happening. So you have 2H plus, 2H here, H and H, and here you have only one. So if you look at the name, this had an H on top. So if you take this chemical group to this chemical group and think about, oh, this one has one H in addition, then you will know which one is which. And this is one of the most important molecules that we discussed across this class, because during the energy production, we discussed a lot about that. So again, it's not very complicated, but it's a newer type of questions probably are not used for it. right? So again, you see two H's and one H, and if you read the question a couple of times, and then you will recognize that I just flipped the names. A is NAD plus and B is NADH. Okay. Okay, so this is probably one of the difficult questions because it requires that you know the molecules. The first step of the TCA cycle is the condensation of the 1 and 2. So the format I can give you in the exam is a fill in the blanks where you have to know what is that first step in the TCA cycle. Now, of course, you will ask me now, do I have to memorize everything regarding the TCA cycle? I never said you have to memorize everything about TCA cycle. But the first step of the TCA cycle is important because the name of the TCA comes from there. And we extensively discussed that. Do we get marks off if you spell it wrong? Technically, yes, but practically, I'm not gonna do that because I'm gonna understand that probably you meant to write something and you misspell it. So in the fill in the blanks, that's why we correct them manually later on. Okay, so you guys, I think the answer was there, right? The answer was there for you. So I'm just showing you the format of the question, how it looks like. I'm not sure if the WooClap Lab did it correctly though. I can't see how many people answered the correct answer. Yeah, for some reason it's not showing the correct. Uh, and as I said before, generally speaking, generally speaking, the fill in the blanks and the open questions are more difficult because you don't have the information in front of you. So that's why it looks more challenging, and I understand you guys are probably more used to this type of multiple questions, multiple choices, but it's it's important for you to get the skills to retain some of the information, not only depend on someone to give you the answer and pick the right one. I think it is because it was not accurate spelling, and I did not indicate it to Okay, let me read through what you're saying here. Again, if you say oxaloacetate and then there's a mistake in the way you write oxaloacetate, we will consider it correct because we will correct those manually later on. The idea is the TCA cycle, as we mentioned, if you go back to the videos and to the lecture, that the pyruvate, the two carbon acetyl group after the pyruvate comes from the pyruvate, then the oxaloacetate, which is a 4 carbon, when they condense together to make the 6 citrate acid, citrate molecule, that is the first step of the citrate cycle. Okay. Let's go answer some questions here. For a question like this, would someone get marks off if they did not directly state the number of the carbons in each molecule, i.e., if I put oxalo as no? So that's a good question, Margaret. No, you don't get any points off because in such questions, we will mention to the bright space that oxaloacetate and the acetyl group are the important ones. Now, if you see here, it's mentioned the six carbon citrate, six carbon citrate. Uh, uh, if you already know acetyl, oh my God, if you already say acetyl-CoA plus oxaloacetate, you will get the points. No, for like the hyphen and all that is not gonna make trouble. So is it wrong if we didn't state the carbon? It technically it's not complete. So you are asking the same question as Margaret here, Morgan. Technically, you didn't answer all the question correctly, but we're not gonna be super specific on such. We will have uh 4 carbon and oxaloacetate as answers and oxaloacetate alone as an answer, and then we will consider that. Plus, this is something I always do. So if there's a question that nobody answered correct, nobody in the class answered correct, I always take this question and I try to see if I can provide an alternative from other questions, like within the exam. Like say its value like was 2 points and nobody answered, not even one student answered correctly. I will take these 2 points out and probably I give a point to everyone as a bonus because it's very difficult. Nobody knew. Can you explain the difference between the acetyl group and the acetyl-CoA? The acetyl group and the acetyl-CoA. If you go to this lecture here, I explained here. Yes. Can we? Oh, I'm really sorry, Kim. It's too late to do that now. Too late to do that now, Kim. So the acetyl group is a 2 carbon compound. The acetyl-CoA is when the 2 carbon compound is bound to this coenzyme thing. And the coenzyme A, it has 3 components, the adenosine, the pentothenate, and then the cysteine. So this CoA here is that. And the acetyl is this carbon and that carbon, the 2 carbon compound. So that's the difference between the two. Okay. Zoom. Okay. Let's go to the next question. How do I have that? It didn't show up for some reason. Okay, next. TCA byproduct could regulate chromatin modification and DNA histone acetylation. That's dependent on the availability of acetyl-CoA, which provide the necessary acetyl groups to enable this reaction. So does TCA byproduct really regulate chromatin modification? DNA methylation, or histone transferases, sorry. If this is true or false. Okay, this is a truth. And the proof is here. We discussed the TCA, we discussed the steps, but then we discussed the function or the outcome, right? One of the outcomes is that the TCA cycle could act as a signaling hub. And maybe in this slide there would be the yes. So it's a title of a slide, and it's explained here. The activity of the TCA cycle is essential to provide metabolites that control chromatin modification and DNA methylation, specifically um, histone acetylation by histone acetyltransferase. Because think about it, it's very logical that you need acetyl group to be added to the histones, right? So the more you have of that, the more probably you could perform this function by histone acetylation. I gave you maybe 4 examples, and this probably the most important out of them, or the most known, the alpha ketoglutarate, this molecule here, because that one with the acetyl-CoA and alpha ketoglutarate gets you the cycle to start. The other one is the acetyl-CoA, which would be used as a cofactor for the enzymes. There were very few of those, in fact. If I remember well, there were only 2 or 3 applications. This is one slide of it, and we focus on L28G, and then the alpha ketoglutarate acetyl-CoA. So this is, yeah. Okay. We go back. Next. This is another format of the same question. So if I want to make it simple, I could ask you true or false, because now you have a 50% chance to get the answer correct. But in this situation, the question will not have too much value, like half point. If it will be more difficult, like this guy here, discuss how the TCA cycle byproduct could regulate chromatin modification DNA methylation. This means you have to write your own sentence, couple of sentences to say, oh, out of the product of the TCA cycle, let's say you give an example out of these three. If you say, for example, the generation of L2GH, or if you describe the acetyl group being a cofactor or the alpha ketoglycerate. But that is a very, very difficult question, to be honest. But I'm just showing you that the question could be in different formats. So the way you study, if you want to get A plus plus plus, the way you study, you should study this way. When you study this slide here, you should retain that, okay, the TCA cycle is a signaling hub. So this is one slide, and then this is another slide, and then this is another slide. And this is, so there are 4 slides that are showing the metabolite playing a role in signaling pathways. So the way you should study that is to have a title where TCA byproduct could cause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what are the molecules that perform that? Again, this is L2HG. If I give it to you in an exam, I will mention the whole name so you remember it. The alpha ketoglycerate as well. I'm not going to write it AKG. I will write all that. Now, if you study as a multiple choice format, all of them, it will be like, well, the TCA cycle plays a role. And then, so what do we have here? We have the acetyl-CoA and the alpha ketoglycerate. These are inducing the steps. And then we have the succinate fumarate, which downregulate that. So it's always better to study as if the exam is going to be this format. Because if it's a multiple choice, you'll get A plus for sure. If it's like, as I mentioned, most of the exam will be multiple choice. So you are securing a very high grade. But for this small fraction of questions like this, it will be really challenging for those who don't study the material correctly. And again, I'm not going to give too many questions of those. It will be very few of those. Okay, and I mentioned today to give you the same question in different formats. Okay, so another question that could be an open format. Discuss how ATP shuttling and buffering is performed by the creatine kinase system. And this, you can find the information. So when you're studying again the heart tissue or the muscle tissue in general, the first step is the uptake and metabolism. This has nothing new compared to what we described before. The new thing here is the heart muscle doesn't use much of glycolysis, but it uses the fatty acids. So this is the first important thing you have to know. And then the other thing is it also has the creatine kinase system, which allows a rapid production of the ATP in the muscle. And that's something maybe this is the most important thing we discussed in the last class, right? So this slide could be an open question to discuss what happened and how the heart muscle use the creatine kinase to generate quick source of energy. Okay. And the idea is very simple. You have ATP that is being generated because you have the Krebs cycle, the fatty acid oxidation, the pyruvate, all that is going to get out the most important thing coming out from that. It is ATP, which is here mentioned for you, the source of the ATP, right? That is being generated. Now, the ATP, instead of just generating it and storing it somewhere, we bring it to the muscle where the creatine kinase system, where the protein creatine with the ATP generate the phosphocreatine. And that is going to be your source of energy. Because by the time you need the energy, you break this phosphate back and give it to ADP, and then you can quickly have a lot of ATP ready. This is very, very interesting, and this is very useful for the body, and it's very important to know it. Okay. Do you have questions on that? Questions, comments, anything? Recall, guys, probably this would be the last time we are discussing together, so uh, I'm welcoming any types of comments or questions. I'm welcoming your suggestions for the exam. I'm welcoming to know what you think so far for your preparations. Okay, you guys keep asking about looking at your last quizzes for an answer like this. How many lines are you looking for? Okay, for an answer like this, how many lines I'm looking for? Very good question. I don't care how many lines. I care to get the information. So let's go back here and see how many lines are written. So the creatine kinase system is the fastest way to regenerate ATP during short, high intensity activities, like within a second. Muscles store creatine phosphate, a high energy molecule, which is here. That's how it's being generated. So probably if I count, this will be like what, 4 lines, 3 lines, including this information. Maybe we'll have 3 open questions, maybe 4, somewhere like this, and the rest would be multiple choice, true or false, fill in the blanks. The number is not important because, as I said, the fill in the blanks and the open questions, they require more preparation compared to true or false and multiple choices. So I would say 80% of the exam, or 70-30, I would say 70-30 as for now. But then I will announce this. You will know in advance how many questions you get. Well, the moment I just finalize the final exam, which should be somewhere like Friday, I will send you an announcement saying this is how much time it's gonna take, and this is how many questions you got. Okay. It's important for you more to guess now what are the material that can get you this type of questions compared to multiple choice. And I'm trying to point out to that. Okay. There's 3 serum biomarkers of injured cardiac muscle. If something you have, like if you forgot anything about this course, this is something you cannot forget. What are the serum markers that you can use? Someone is sick and his heart muscle is under injury. What do you what do you do? Like, out of all the molecular mechanisms we discussed, you should retain some like these. Let's see. Who was the first person to answer? Only four people? Only five? Great. Very good. You picked it up because was it here or here? Serum biomarkers. And as you can see here, I said list three serum biomarkers. I didn't say list and discuss. I didn't say, like, for example, list and discuss the function or whatever, because the idea is that you remember those. Okay. Which of the following best explain the beta blockers? How beta blockers reduce the cardiac overload? So, in such a question, you should know what is beta blockers, and then you should know how they work. Guys, you're taking so long to answer this question. And the correct answer is okay. So, what does happen when there's a pressure overload over the ventricle? The RAS system has to take care of bringing this down. All right. And remember the two hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine. I would say a few words about the exam just after finishing the questions, okay? After finishing going through these questions, we'll discuss what is to be reviewed in which way, okay? So, it's good. So this is a very important aspect you have to really remember. The RAS system, how does it work? How is it simulated? What is the role of these hormones, the angiotensin, the aldosterone, and epinephrine, norepinephrine? So the way the question was formulated for you here, it pointed out to an outcome that probably we discussed in the pharmacogenomics here. So the beta blockers. And there's also a YouTube video for you there. And there's also the image. Now, I'm very glad that you are really picking up most of these questions. Like 89% correctly answered that. 86, which is great. And again, use these questions to get to know how to study. If I would give you a piece of advice, before you start studying, you go through these questions and you have them in front of you when you are studying, you would know how the material would be discussed. Like I will read the question, and while I'm studying, when it comes, I will refocus the way I'm studying to answer this type of questions. Okay, this is another format of the same question. Beta blockers work by blocking the effect of 1 and 2 at the adrenergic receptors, and then they will indirectly reduce activation of what system by lowering the renin release. So the same slide you're seeing here or here, which are only 3 slides, in fact, we could ask you the question in different ways. Okay, very good. Already picked. Okay, so that's the answer. And it's just I'm showing you a different format of the exam. Now, obviously, if we go back, this question is easier than that. Okay. And you are anonymous. I don't know who is answering what anyway, at least for this who club. Beautiful. Let's go to Dennis, and I want to know if Dennis is spying on me because apparently he is. Because he asked the first question, list and very briefly discuss the steps of cardiac myocyte necrosis after ischemia. So this is a slide that we discussed in the beginning of a class and at the end of the class. And I'm not necessarily asking you to memorize every single step. Okay. If I have that in the exam, List and briefly discuss the steps of the cardiac myocyte necrosis after ischemia. There are few key factors that are happening here. Depletion of ATP. This is a word I'm looking at. Accumulation of sodium and hydrogen. The reverse exchanger. Calcium entry. Calcium affecting the the function of the mitochondria. So if you list just those words, you would get the full point on that. Okay. Are you able to upload these questions in a similar format to the midterm prep question, like a PDF? I have it here as a video. Owen, I don't know what is the rationale. I will have that uploaded for you guys. Okay, let me see if there is still any other question that I didn't answer. What is it? No ATP decrease, there's no much calcium. Yeah, but make it like a sentence, please. I know now you're answering quickly, but you would need to write a complete sentence so that we understand what it means. For example, you don't say calcium entry. Calcium entry means what? Calcium entry means you have to add like few more words to make your phrase complete to make sense. Okay, like when you say ATP depletion, okay, that's already uh, an acceptable phrase. But when you say calcium entry, that's not, because you have to say what calcium does. Okay. And then another format of the same question, which I already kind of answered for you, is instead of having that long question, you could ask, this sodium calcium exchanger reverses its direction during cardiac ischemia. I'm stating a fact here, right? I'm stating already and then I give you a multiple choice on that. So overall, this is how I set up the exam. And these are the types of questions you will get. And if you see it's 100% coming from your slides, very little, very, very little, it comes from the additional PDF, which is already mentioned in the slides. You go through the material, I'm pretty sure you will do well. Just study in the right way. Okay. With this, I will just show the correct answer. And I think this is closing a chapter of your academic journey. I would like to wish all of you the best in your exams, in this course and other courses. I would like to wish you success in your careers, wherever you will be in the future. I hope I conveyed some information that is important for you, that you could retain and that could help you in the future in your careers. I am here for you whenever you need me, even if um, I don't teach you in the future or you're beyond this class. You're welcome to reach out to me anytime. It was really pleasant to teach you as a group. I enjoyed seeing you in the class, and I enjoyed the online format of the class as well. And all I say is good luck and all the best for you guys. Yes, I will first I will stop recording. Yes, I will send you those as recording as I did before. Stop recording. Yes. Well, cancel. Oh, before there's one question that I didn't answer. Okay. There's one question I didn't answer, and I hope it's still, yes, it's still recording. So I got multiple questions regarding the material to be studied for the exam. And I'm repeating for the third or fourth time. Take the information from me, don't take it from other sources. I cannot delete the classes before midterm because go, they are important to understand the exams after the midterm. Therefore, yes, you focus more on the classes after the midterm. And if you want percentages, focus 75% on the classes after the midterm. And keep in mind, you might need concepts you studied in the classes before the midterm, 25%. Okay? The majority of the questions will come from after the midterm, though. Okay? But I can't delete the classes before the midterm since some of the concepts I have to ask questions again about. But those, if I delete them and you're studying a class like about the cardiac injury and calcium and all that, then you can come back and say, oh, the professor has tricked us. He told us not to study the classes before the midterm, and then yet he asked some questions. It's the nature of the material that I cannot really separate 100%. Okay, so make this clear in your mind, and please, if any of your colleagues ask, let them go and watch this last 5 minutes of the video so that it's clear for them as well, and I will announce them for that. Yes, it doesn't necessarily that they are 11 as I did on the slide. uh, like it, I mean, you could have mentioned them in 10 steps. I mean, the most important thing is the key concepts are there. The key concepts are there. Okay. And the key concepts are already in bold. Okay, so maybe I missed some questions. Are you able to upload those questions? Yeah. Okay, so I answered these two questions already. Okay. Okay, guys. If anybody has any more questions to say before we end this meeting, I would be happy to answer. Otherwise, good luck with everything.
Sorry, Professor. Really quick question. I sent you an email. Hopefully you could take a look at that and let me know.
And who is speaking?
Sorry, Netra.
Netra. You sent me an email.
Yes.
When was that?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay. Uh,
Yeah, sorry, no pressure. Just wanted to let you know.
no, absolutely. You can stay a minute and I will quickly check. I would ask Alexandra. Alexandra, are you here?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Okay, Alexandra, last week you had an issue and you didn't do the midterm, the quiz. Remember
Um,
the week before you had an issue and you didn't do the quiz. So
yeah,
are you feeling better this today so you can go through it?
mm, not really.
Yeah, because I want to give you another chance because you had an issue last week and I don't want you to lose the points. So if you're feeling better, probably you can go through it. Up to you. I mean,
I'll send you an email for that.
okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Too.
Okay, Netra. Just give me 1 second, Netra. Netra.
Yes.
Um, I I didn't get I didn't get any email from you recently, Netra.
No.
No, the last email I got from you was. But anyway, if could you please just go and this is very weird, sorry.
No, no.
Um, Maybe it's in some of inboxes, but I will check again.
I could just ask you my question now, if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if you were taking any students on for the summer or anything like that.
Ooh, okay. Okay, so normally I take students in summer, but in the third year, not in the second.
I see.
So I'm sorry to disappoint you quickly like this by an answer that is not nice.
No.
However, I must tell you that to be in the lab, there are a few things you need to know. And in the second year, most of the students, they didn't take the basic uh, molecular biology, genetics, and such. So it will be bad for you as an experience, and it will be bad for the lab.
Okay. That would make sense. It's true. I
So,
haven't taken it yet.
so I strongly recommend if you would go to a lab to volunteer going to the lab through any of the programs that are available. Like there is the USHRO and USRO, and there is the volunteer, just to volunteer, where you could go and get little information, and then this will make you a top candidate for the next year. There's one other thing I have to tell you, Netra, and again, sorry for the negative response. It is because there's lots of the third year students who are not finding any supervisor. So every single day we get like many students trying to get, and therefore in the departments, probably this is indirect, but in the departments, the professors, they say the closer they are for their graduation, they need this. If they are still in their second year, probably it's not, they will still have a chance next year. So
Mm.
they don't want people to take like their fourth year without having any chances. So we will give a little bit more priority for the third year as well.
No, that
And
makes a lot of sense. And thank you for
yeah,
your honesty. I appreciate
yeah.
it.
And another thing is like, for example, I'll give you one last concrete thing is that across the different biomedical programs, there are research approaches. So there's a class of research approaches that in the health sciences, they give it in the third year as well. I was teaching that last year. I'm not teaching this year. The HSS 3109. So for people who want to get their research skills better, I strongly recommend that class.
Okay. It's an elective?
I think so. I have taught that one, and I have all the videos uh, in the same YouTube and the same link on the Zoom that you guys are using. So if you want to check it out and let me know. And I will be more than happy to help you like as one-on-one discussion. But being honest with you, I have a long list of third year students already
Mm,
in for my lab. Plus, Netra, we can discuss this later on to know what really want to do, what is the domain, because I'm cardiovascular.
yes.
So I'll be happy to discuss even after the class ends and after the semester ends. There's no problem. You reach out to me anytime.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And quick thing, sorry, you mentioned USO, USHO, is that right?
USRO, that's the biomedical
USRO.
program, and the USHRO, which is the health sciences.
Got you. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll definitely look into those. And it's good that I know at least because I feel like you're don't worry, you're not only the only prof. I feel like it's hard because there's not a lot of opportunity nowadays and a lot of people who need it.
I agree with you because there's 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 not too much room first, and there if the professors have the chance to get someone in the fourth or fifth year, they would take fourth or fifth year. But
Mm,
the USRO and the UHSRO, these are applications that probably end every year around November. Remember, I mentioned this in the beginning of the class, where
yes.
you get like a small scholarship, like $1,000 or $2,000, something like that, to do a short-term experience. And if you apply and you get it, any lab will take you in. So this is a good ticket.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Well, keep an eye and stay in contact, and we can discuss more if you're interested. So I'm not gonna close any doors, but just being honest with you, I have like already the third year queue in front of you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and I'll definitely reach out if I have more questions. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And who else have any questions, guys? I do have a meeting at noon. So please, if you have any questions, let's go through it. If not, well, reach out to me anytime. I will be happy to answer. And you missed the quiz again. What was going on? Could you please speak out, Anne?
Hi, sir. I read your email and I had thought that you meant like for like the ending of the class. And I woke up like kind of late, like 30 minutes late today to join the class, which is why I missed it.
Uh, well, I mentioned to you it should be 10 to 10:30.
Yeah.
Go back to your email. Remember
Okay.
when you sent me your response that you were not able for that particular reason, not able to get the access due to the issues you have with the Brightspace, and
Yeah.
IT was confirmed that, and then you were able to get in. I sent you the email on the 27th saying, okay, great, now you can redo the quiz on Wednesday the 3rd between 10 to 20.
Yeah, I
And
just saw your email.
yes, so I'm sorry today I can't anymore. I have too many things to do today.
Okay, no
Um,
worries.
well, I'll try to find a different time, but your reasoning that you missed the class just because you didn't read your email, this is not really a reason. The previous one, yes, I accept it because you had issues with the Brightspace
Yeah, I couldn't get in.
and the help desk was confirming that.
Hmm.
Uh, well, let's see. I'll try to find a different time, but it's on you, and it's not on me. If you miss it, you miss it.
I know. Thank you, sir.
The other person here who missed it last time was Alexandra, and Alexandra missed it last time because she was a little bit tired, and I understand her cause, so I will give her another chance too. Maybe we'll see. I'll email you and Alexandra because you are the one who didn't do the exam so far. I will email you later today, hoping that tomorrow, during the time we used to have the office hours, I can probably log in. Um, but well, Alexandra's reason is valid because she was tired. You and is not valid for today, at least. So I'm giving you that last chance for tomorrow during the office hour.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it.
And Alexandra, please, if you're still here, let me know if it's okay for you to show up tomorrow during office hours and still try to do the quiz so that you don't lose the points.
Yes, I'll try
Okay.
and wait for your email. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Good luck, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you, you too. Bye.
Bye, sir. Have a great day.
You too. Have a good one.